Luffy's Gear 5, does it have Toon Force? You got it wrong. Luffy doesn't have Toon Force, everyone got it wrong. But is that really the case? Come with me and you'll understand what Gear 5 really is and what this so-called Toon Force actually means. I'm sure you'll change your opinion about Gear 5 after watching this video. Let's go. Hey guys, how's it going? Guys, episode 1075 of One Piece just dropped, and it's not the final episode of the Kaido fight. On the contrary, it marks the start of some flashbacks that tell the full story of Wano, just like in manga, chapter 1048. And let me tell you safely, the next episode will be about chapter 1049, where the fight comes to an end. But Wano itself still won't be wrapped up. We'll see another flashback, this time about Kaido. Well, I'm going to comment on the episode, but the real focus here is Luffy. After everything we've seen in this fight, does he actually have Toon Force? A lot of people are making bold claims saying yes, and others saying no. But what's really going on? Does he actually have it? Come with me as we evaluate Luffy's powers in both the anime and the manga, and also look at what Oda really intended with Gear 5. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a like to support our project. Okay guys, the Wano arc is coming to an end. In this episode, we're set up for the climax of the Kaido vs Luffy battle, which, by the way, has been one of the hardest fights Luffy has ever faced. He pretty much died and came back in the end. It reminded me a lot of the Crocodile fight. Remember how Crocodile always hit Luffy and he only survived by pure luck? That also happened several times in Wano. If Kaido had been more direct, he would have killed Luffy. His mistake was toying with Luffy and giving him time to train during the battle. I don't know if you noticed, because it's hard to miss, but Luffy grabbed Kaido by the neck with one hand, and with the other, he made his fist grow to a size never seen before in the anime. This punch of Luffy's is bigger than Onigashima. Guys, it's gigantic. But the result of this fight, Kaido's transformation and the end of the Wano arc, I'll save for next week's video. This episode was basically to reinforce how terrible Kaido's era was in Wano, how much the people suffered, until 20 years later, a hero emerged. Deep down, even Kaido wants to know if Luffy is really the hero that the people of Wano have been waiting for. But let's talk about what really moved all the fans. Toon Force, the power to do anything with only one limit, your imagination. Before we start, let's break it down. The first thing we have to understand, for those who don't know, is what Toon Force is and how it works. Toon Force is just the name people give to the powers that cartoon characters have. Most cartoons, especially Looney Tunes and Woody Woodpecker, always use these powers, whether to escape danger or simply to make a scene funnier. Like when Coyote draws a tunnel on a wall, so Roadrunner will crash into it, but then Roadrunner just runs through the painted tunnel. Or when characters run in the air, get flattened like paper, and then pop back to normal. They create tools or weapons out of nowhere, sometimes even out of their own thought balloons. All of this completely ignores the laws of physics. It even seems like reality manipulation. Plus, of course, the ability to break the fourth wall, which makes a character talk to the audience, realize they're in a movie or comic, and use that to break the rules of physics. Within the cartoon universe, characters are virtually indestructible. A bomb explodes and the worst that happens is that the character gets covered in soot, shakes it off, and is fine. Or like when Daffy Duck gets shot point blank and his beak just turns around. In short, all of that is considered Toon Force. And you've probably seen these powers outside of cartoon universes too. For example, in the movie Space Jam with Michael Jordan, where Toon Force is used in what's supposed to be the real world. There's also the Mask, who technically lives in a real world, but when he puts on the mask, he completely ignores physics and uses Toon Force to change clothes, run through the air, create weapons, and even make his body elastic to dodge attacks. And in fact, with Gear 5, Luffy can do pretty much all of that. Is Luffy capable of running through the air? Yes, he did it after one of Kaido's attacks, but not exactly. Running through the air, and we're going to talk about that. Has Luffy ever taken fire attacks and just shook off the suit from his body, walking away unscathed? Yes, that also happened. He was able to walk on clouds, swing on lightning bolts, become a giant, and even use his enemy like a rope. Yes. And to make it even more cartoon-like during the fight, there were birds flying around Luffy's head, along with his eyes widening in surprise, just like classic cartoon characters. In the manga, he even pulled a pair of glasses out of his own hair. So in the end, does Luffy have Toon Force or not? Or, if we take Oda's words, we see that Gear 5 exists because he wanted to have fun again with the manga and the anime. Not just One Piece, but anime in general, which used to have more cartoonish traits similar to Toon Force. Look at this. I drew this because I really want to enjoy myself, and I think it's fine if people don't like it. Ever since I was an assistant, I felt that the silly expressions that were so characteristic of manga were gradually being lost. Like putting a light bulb above a character's head when he has an idea, or having a character's legs spin when he runs, for example. I wanted to have fun, and I decided to do it, and I feel like I finally can. When I was drawing this, I really enjoyed myself. Oda's words make it clear. All he wanted was the freedom to draw with the same creative liberty as before, using fun, exaggerated tools and expressions that used to be common in manga. He made it clear that he doesn't care if some people dislike Gear 5, he had fun and that's what mattered. But even so, at no point did he use Toon Force. It's not like Luffy has Toon Force in a world that otherwise respects the laws of physics. The most ridiculous power in the world isn't about doing absolutely anything while breaking the rules of reality. On the contrary, everything Luffy has done up to now he did by using his rubber powers, which are part of the sun god Nika. Just like Marco's Zoan lets him heal because he's a phoenix, Luffy's Zoan draws from the sun god, who in One Piece has a rubber body. It works almost like a paramecia awakening, allowing him to alter his surroundings. But then comes the question. Didn't Luffy create glasses from his hair, run through the air and swing on lightning bolts? Yes, he did. He even hung upside down on a cloud as if it were solid. But none of this goes beyond what One Piece has already shown. Let's look closer. First, Luffy's clothes change color. This happens in almost every anime with transformations. Well, maybe not all, but most. Come on, Super Saiyan. 4 Goku had a tight suit right after transforming from a giant ape. Where did that suit come from? In One Piece, Luffy's clothes have always stretched, shrunk, or shifted depending on his transformations. Remember Gear 3rd, when he turned tiny afterward? This is normal in One Piece, especially for Logia and Paramecia users. Buggy was cut to pieces and his clothes stayed intact. Ace, Enel, and Crocodile also kept their outfits even in their elemental forms. Marco turned into a phoenix and back into human form, with his clothes still intact. As for Luffy using his environment, keep this in mind. We still don't fully know why, but Nika's body has rubber properties, and he uses that power with complete freedom, turning anything he touches into rubber, clouds, lightning, even Kado's eyes. But remember, Luffy almost snapped his own arm off. His body is definitely rubber, but through the sun god's power, he gains enhancements. He stretches further and becomes stronger. This doesn't necessarily mean Toon Force. About running in the sky. Well, Luffy has already flown many times by spinning his own body, so spinning his legs in the air to run doesn't automatically mean he's using Toon Force. Another important point, Luffy's suit moment. Remember when he took damage and was left with just suit on him? That was simply Oda, drawing in a more cartoonish style. Even before, when Kado damaged him, everyone wondered how he could withstand fire if rubber doesn't. Later it was revealed he was using Gear 4. It was his determination, not some magic resistance. It's very likely this was just an aspect of the sun god's power that even Luffy didn't know about. So during the battle with Kaido, Oda added many visual elements inspired by classic cartoons and old-school manga. Even Kaido himself realized it. He literally says Luffy is fighting like a character from a children's storybook, but all of it still falls within Nika's powers. Remember Red Hawk when Luffy's arm burst into flames? It's not different from when he runs so fast he leaves a flame trail in the sky. And lastly, Those glasses he made from his hair. Honestly, guys, that's nothing new. We've seen similar things before. Doflamingo made perfect clones. Robin made duplicates too, all with their devil fruits. So why couldn't Luffy, who can turn anything he touches into rubber, even the ground or lightning, create glasses from his hair? First, we don't know if those glasses were actually rubber or not. Second, we don't know if Nika's power can create objects out of rubber and then release them to become normal. It hasn't been shown yet, but nothing rules it out either. Toon Force has clear limits. Everything in cartoons happens purely because the author decides so. But Oda didn't create Luffy's powers that way. Everything Luffy did in the Kaido fight was just an extension of how the sun god Nika can change anything he touches. In this case, he changed the battlefield. Oda just wanted the freedom to draw in the craziest way possible and bring back the spirit of old-school manga. And that's all for today, guys. In summary, Gear 5 is simply a way to use the sun god's rubber power in a wilder, crazier style. It has nothing to do with Toon Force, which completely ignores reality and does whatever it wants. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the work. And most importantly, comment below with your thoughts, what you'd like to add, or what you're expecting from One Piece. Big hug, and see you next time.